Hello and welcome to another video from me, Rough Swordsman, Wargamer. It's part 2 of my playthrough of Malta Besieged, a solitaire game designed by Steve Carey and published by Worthington Publishing. In the last video we did the setup and we started working out the first epoch deck. Things weren't too bad. We've pushed the Italian army back a little bit. But one cause for concern is that our military is right down on the number 1 box. We have Ultra available now, and we still have to try and increase the fortification of Malta. So we'll see how we get on this time. So just to remind you, the sequence of play is printed on the map. And the first thing to do, of course, is to turn over the next card. And the next card is Operation Excess. It's a convoy battle. Dual convoys were initially threatened by the Italian Navy. However, upon learning that each convoy was covered by British battleships and aircraft carriers, and having their base at Naples bombed by Wellingtons on the 8th of January 1941, the Regia Marina withdrew to Genoa. Still, the Royal Navy suffered several losses. So, 2 actions. Once again, we've got the Luftwaffe here, but we don't do anything because we haven't been told to put that counter on the map. But there's a little asterisk here by the Italian Navy, and that says, if Ultra succeeds in providing convoy escort, instead of advancing, retreat the Regia Marina and do not allow it to attack the convoy this turn. 2 supplies are up for grabs. So let's sort out this convoy battle. So we now conduct battle stations. But if you remember, it says if we use Ultra and we're successful, the Italian Navy doesn't attack and actually retreats. So we'll pop that there. Using an action, of course. And we mustn't throw a 1, otherwise counterintelligence of the Axis has neutralised Ultra. It's a 4, we're okay. So now this moves over here to remind us that we're using it for convoy escort. And if we roll a critical hit, a red number, that's treated as a miss. Because we're successful, that retreats, and the only thing attacking our convoy is the Italian Air Force. Unfortunately, there aren't any red numbers that we can throw to treat as misses. So we just need 3 or less. 6, no, that's a hit. And that hit is dealt with in the housekeeping phase to determine how many supplies we get in. Next is the resources phase, but it says none, so nothing is moved on our resources tracks. And we're now down to the orders phase, and we're going to get a -1 DRM on the military, and a +1 though on the Italian Navy. -1. +1. Right, so what we're doing, we could use our actions to help us out when the convoy arrives in the housekeeping phase. And that would give us a -1 on our die roll. But we've only got the 1 hit, so we're guaranteed 1 supply. We may be lucky with that hit. And it's a shame we've got another -1 here. Really want to push that military up a bit. So with our remaining action, we could push back one of these, but they're okay at the moment. We could try and increase the fortress in Malta, or push back again because there aren't any DRMs on the Italian army. Try and push them back to Tripoli. Yep, do you know what? I think we'll do that. So we'll try and push those back. We need 3 or more. Let's see. 4. Excellent. Back to Tripoli they go. If we push them back another one, you see we've run out of track there, it'll go in the holding box. That's the orders phase. All the actions are used. We are now in the housekeeping phase, and it's convoy arrival. This is Operation Excess. The Axis scored 1 convoy attack hit on our convoy. So just the 1 die roll. We want to throw 3 or less, yeah. Oh, it's got stuck. Let's do that again. One. Excellent. No loss. We get the maximum 2 supply. So there we are. Look at that. Up to 4. And we also get, if you remember from the last convoy battle we did in the previous video, we get an extra action. And if we use that action to increase our morale, we get a +1. But I tell you what I'm going to do. I think we'll use it to push back the morale, because these aren't too bad at the moment and the army is way up there. So yeah, let's use it for that. So we need a 2 or more. 5, lovely. Happy with that. I'm still a bit worried about the military, but hopefully we can take care of that. The rest of the housekeeping phase is now just putting back the ultra counter. Oh, forgot to move that down. And removing the DRM markers. And we're ready for the next card. And it is Operation Judgment. They're retreating again by the looks of it, but the Air Force are moving forward. So we get our 2 actions. And the card says, the daring British raid upon the Italian naval base at Taranto on the 11th and 12th of November 1940 presaged the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor. Swordfish bombers launched from the aircraft carrier Illustrious crippled the Italian battle fleet and caused it to retreat back to Naples. Operation MB8 brought troops and anti-aircraft guns to Malta. So the Italian Air Force are advancing and the Italian Navy retreating yet again. We're going to be advancing the Italian Air Force, but retreating the Italian Navy. That's the military phase done. Resources, +1 military, wonderful. Oh, hello, -1 supply, but +1 morale. Not too bad at all. And the rest of it's talking about the ultra marker. If it's not in play, put it in the holding box, but of course it's already there. Now the orders phase, -1 DRM on the Italian Navy and Army, and +1 DRM on the Italian Air Force. -1 on those, not too worried about the Italian Navy though. And those, likewise. +1 on the Air Force though. Right, 2 actions. I think we'll actually use the ultra marker and get a bit of intelligence and see what the next card is. As you know by now, we must not throw a 1. 5, great. So we're using it for intelligence. We are looking at the next card. What do we got here? Operation Hurry. I hope that's in focus. We're going to get 2 actions. The Italian Air Force are coming forward. Nothing happens to the resources. -2 on the Italian Army, but +1 on the military. So not a bad card. We now get a +1 on something. Let's play safe. Let's push back the Air Force. We're going to get a +2 on that now. So we can't fail it. We'll throw the dice just for giggles. 6. I'm happy that's been pushed back. So that's our second action, of course. And I think that's it. We're in the housekeeping phase. We take off DRMs. And we're on to the next card. Of course, we know what it is. It's Operation Hurry. 2 actions. And it says, a dozen Hurricane fighters made the first so-called club run to Malta from the carrier Argus in August 1940. Meanwhile, additional aircraft were being delivered to Malta even as the Battle of Britain still raged, demonstrating Churchill's great resolve to preserve Malta as his unsinkable aircraft carrier. So the Italian Air Force are moving, nothing's happening to the resources, and we've got to apply some DRMs. So here comes the Italian Air Force again. Nothing is happening to our resources, but we get a -2 on the army and a +1 on our military. We haven't needed it yet, but we mustn't forget Admiral Cunningham. 1 use per epoch deck, which will allow us to negate an advance from one of the fronts. So I think we'll try and push back the Italian Air Force. So we need 3 or more. 5, lovely. And our second action, I think we will try and, as we've got a +1 on the military, try and push that up. We need a 4, 5 or a 6, 50-50 chance. 5, lovely. That's all the actions gone. So now we just refresh the map. Take off the bits and pieces. Put it right, there we are. And we're ready for the next card. So as you can see, once you get into the rhythm of the game, it goes pretty quickly. It'll be quicker for you because I'm still explaining things, reading things out, but it does truck along at a nice pace. So, next card. Next card is the Italians invade Egypt. Doesn't sound good. Let's tidy those up. 2 actions. On the 13th of September 1940, the Italian army in North Africa, led by Marshal Rodolfo Graziani, breached the border into British-controlled Egypt, capturing Sollum and later Sidi Barrani. The Italians inexplicably halted to await reinforcements, thus allowing the heavily outnumbered British to catch their breath. And the Italian army is moving forward. We're going to lose a morale, and we've got those DRMs again. So here they come back to El Aguila. -1 morale. Oh dear. -2 on them, which makes sense on the army. We get a -1 on military. Good job we moved that up. And supply. But a +1 on the Italian Navy, who I'm not particularly worried about at the moment. Well, easily forgotten, but I think we better try and reinforce Malta, if not for this epoch, but certainly the next one. So we need 4, 5 or 6. And an action. 4, that's good enough. Anything trying to get into Malta will have to throw a 4, 5 or 6 itself. Now, what are we going to do with our second action? We can't do this again and increase it to 4. We can only do it once per turn. So I think what we'll do for our second action is push back the Regia Aeronautica, the Italian Air Force. And we need to throw 3 or more. 3, lovely. So back they go. It is now the housekeeping phase. All our actions are gone. We could, don't forget, use some of these supplies for extra actions. But at the moment I think we're okay. So we're just removing the DRM markers. And once again, it's the headline phase. Next card is... oh, they're off again. They're invading Greece this time. 2 actions. Il Duce's ill-advised venture into Greece on the 28th of October 1940 put more pressure on the Italian Air Force and took some pressure off Malta. Difficult terrain and stubborn Greek defence stalled the Italian drive. On 11th of October, the British prevailed in the naval engagement at Cape Passero as more supplies reached Malta. Okay, we've got the Italian Air Force retreating, but the Navy is advancing, as is the Italian Army. We're going to get a +1 supply. We're going to get a -1 DRM on the military, but a +1 DRM on the morale track. The Italian Navy and the Italian Army. So the Italian Air Force is retreating back to Rome. The Navy is moving forward to Naples, as is the Army to Benghazi. We get a +1 supply though in the resources phase, and in the orders phase we're going to get a -1 on our military, but a +1 on morale, +1 on the Italian Navy, and another one on the Army. Right, 2 actions, I think, don't you? We need to push these back because we're getting quite low on cards. And in the next epoch, that's going to turn into the Africa Corps. So let's try and push them back as far as possible. First action. We have a +1. So 2 or more. No, that's an automatic defeat. I think we'll try it again. 4, that's better. Back they go to El Hagila. Tell you what, let's use a supply and try and push them back 1 more. I'll be happier then. Once again, 2 or more. Oh no! Oh, let's take a chance. Getting a bit gung-ho now. Last time. Oh no! We can't do it anymore. We're getting a bit low on supply. Ah, good grief. Okay, that's it. We're in the housekeeping phase, so we're still just tidying up. And we're looking at the next card in the headline phase. Dear oh dear. Next we've got Air Defences Reorganized. Brigadier Sadler, a veteran of the Battle of Britain, arrived at Malta and promptly organised its anti-aircraft defences into box patterns that provided better supporting fire. This not only allowed the damaged carrier Illustrious to safely slip out of Malta's Grand Harbour, but it also led to heavier losses for the Axis air units. 2 actions. Now, once again, we've been very lucky with the Luftwaffe because it says also if in play and after advancing, the Luftwaffe's unit battle value is adjusted down to 3 if it is currently at 4, but it's not even on the map yet. Bet all the horrible cards are still to come. But the Italian Air Force is advancing. No resources are mucked about with, thank goodness. And in the orders phase, we're going to have a -1 DRM for supply, but a +1 for the military and the Italian Air Force. So it's just the Italian Air Force advancing again. Nothing on the resources tracks, but -1 supply, +1 military and Air Force. Well, I'm going to try it again. We're going to try and push back the Italian army. So an action. Don't throw a 1 again. This time though, we do need a 3 or more. 6, lovely. Back to Tripoli you go. And we might as well use the +1 DRM that the Italian Air Force have got to push them back again. That's our second action. Now you may be wondering why, as they're nice and far back, I don't increase the Malta fortification to 4. I'll tell you why. If we can survive to the end of this deck, the first card of the second epoch, when Rommel arrives, allows us to automatically upgrade that to 4. So that's why I'm not doing it. So we're going to try and push back the Italian Air Force. We don't need a 1. Oh, nearly. 2 + 1 is 3. Back to Rome. That's all our actions. I'm not going to use any of our supply after last time. So it's the housekeeping phase. So we're just tidying up the DRM markers. Mustn't forget we've got the old Ultra, but we'll see what happens next time. Okay, headline phase. Here we go. We have only 4 cards left. Oh no, this is the worst one in the deck, I think. Oh, the Luftwaffe are coming in. Fliegerkorps 10. Forgot about that card. It's awful. After Spain's refusal to assist with a planned capture of Gibraltar, the transfer of a Luftwaffe formation from Norway in December 1940 dramatically altered the Malta campaign. Experienced German pilots bombed Malta's harbours, airfields and shipping and crippled the British carrier Illustrious on the 10th of January 1941. God, yeah, this is not good. 2 actions. And it says, this little asterisk here, if not yet in play, place the 4 battle value Luftwaffe unit in its number 3 Reggio Calabria space instead of advancing it. So for the military phase, the Italian Air Force is advancing again, but now the 4 value Luftwaffe are coming in at Reggio Calabria. Not good at all. At least we don't advance it. Resources. Oh, look, -1 on all resources. Told you this card is nasty. And a -1 DRM on all resources and Axis fronts. Little spaces to put things like all Axis units DRM, so you don't have to put them if you don't want to on all tracks. And resources. Dear oh dear oh dear. Now what to do? That's dangerously low, the supply. And I know there's a -1 on all of these, but we could try with the 2 lowest numbers. We need a 4, 5 or a 6. See if we can push them back. course, we have to throw a 6 to push the Luftwaffe back. Or we could look at Ultra. Yeah, let's do that. Let's use an action. And we're going to use Ultra. So Ultra's coming over here. And hopefully we're going to be using this one, the intelligence part. If we're successful and it doesn't get hobbled by counterintelligence by the Axis, we're going to reveal the next event card, but place a +1 DRM marker on any Axis front or the Axis convoy raid. Can't do that yet, but we can't use it, unfortunately, for resources. But maybe we can knock the -1 off the Luftwaffe here, maybe push them back, or have an easier time of pushing these back. But first, we mustn't throw a 1. And going by that one a couple of turns ago, that's likely. So not a 1, please. 2. Oh, 2. So this is coming down to here to remind us. So let's look at the next card. Can't be any worse than this Fliegerkorps here. So we've got Malta. Oh, Malta gets mined. 3 actions. Nope, they're going to advance. It's already in play, as is the Air Force. Oh no, that's no good. -1 supply, -1 morale. -1 all resources. Oh no. Thought we were having it pretty easy. That means the supply will go down to 0. But we'll have to grin and bear it. We're nearly at the end of the first epoch deck. So let's get back to Fliegerkorps 10. So after revealing that not very nice card, we've got a +1 to put on one of these fronts. Let's take a chance and put it on the Luftwaffe. So that negates that -1. And we have to throw now a 5 or a... Oh, oh dear. That's going to creep forward. Let's try. Yeah, let's try and push back the Luftwaffe. You see, there are many decisions to make in this game. 5 or 6. Come on. Yes! Get in. Back you go to South Sardinia. That was our last action. Nothing else to do. That goes back because we're now in the housekeeping phase. Goes back into the holding box. No convoys or anything. We just clear up DRM markers. And we're on to that next horrible card. Malta gets mined. Here we go. Over to that pile. 2 cards left. So Malta gets mined. While Malta was constantly bombed, 200 air raids alone before the end of 1940, the Axis also dropped parachute mines on towns and systematically laid magnetic mines in its water approaches. These mines contributed to Malta's isolation, the island being surrounded by steel as well as sea. Rationing began. So the Luftwaffe are coming forward, back to Reggio Calabria, and the Italian Air Force down to Messina. -1 supply. That means now -1 DRM on all attacks on these fronts. And -1 on morale, that's getting dangerous as well. And a -1 DRM on all resources. And I forgot to put them out, but we've got 3 actions. Crikey, we need it. Well, I think we're going to have to try, even though it's got a -1, try and get the supply up to stop that -1 DRM on the attacks on the fronts. So let's try that first, because even if we used Ultra to get that +1, we can't use it on resources. So, first action. So we need 5 or a 6. Oh, nearly. Oh, nearly. Let's try it again. Yes, yes, yes. So that comes back up. At least now we can attack something with our last action. They're all the same distance away, are these? What do? we try the Luftwaffe, as that's the most difficult, or push back possibly the easier Italian Navy or Air Force? We need another 5 or 6 for that Luftwaffe. Let's try the Luftwaffe. Again, I've said it before, you'll play this completely different. This is the beauty of these games. 5 or 6. Come on, dice. 5, yes! Luck is with us. Back go the Luftwaffe. Nothing else to do. We've done the orders phase. So it is now just removing the DRM counter in the housekeeping phase. 2 cards left. We're back to the headline phase. And it is Battle of Cape Spartivento. Excuse my pronunciation. 2 actions. And it says, on the 27th of November 1940, an inconclusive engagement occurred between the British fleet and the Italian Navy, with both forces suffering minor losses and then withdrawing. This allowed a small but fast convoy from Gibraltar, Operation Collar, to successfully divide, and all ships arrived safely at either Malta or Alexandria. So what's it say here? We've got a little asterisk. Also, if in play and after advancing, the Luftwaffe's unit battle value is adjusted down to 3 if it is currently 4. Good. And the Italian Navy is also advancing. We get a +1 supply, excellent. But a -1 DRM on our military track and the Italian army. But a +1 on the supply. Let's do that. So the Luftwaffe is advancing, but then it is turned into the 3. So that's good for us. Here comes the Italian Navy again. +1 supply. Phew. -1 military though. And the Italian army, not too bothered about that at the moment. And a +1 on the supply. Well, we could try and increase the supply, but I'm going to push back as many as we can, ready for the next epoch. So first we'll try the Luftwaffe, as that's been reduced to 3, so we now only need a 4, 5 or a 6. So 50-50 chance. Oh no! I'm doing it again. The Luftwaffe is hard to push back. Oh no! That doesn't bode well. We'll leave it there. No, I can't use any more. Can't use any more supply. So we'll leave it there. Oh dear. Housekeeping. Again, we've only got the markers to remove. And look, we're on the last card. And the last card is Battle of Calabria. 2 actions. The first notable encounter between Italian and British task forces, both of which were covering convoys on the 9th of July 1940, turned out to be the only meeting of the campaign where the 2 opposing main battle groups engaged each other. The Italians, upon retiring, were humiliated when bombed by their own airplanes. Oh dear! We've got the Italian Air Force and Navy advancing. Resources, nothing changes, but there is a -2 DRM on the Italian army. Not too worried about that. And a +1 DRM on the Italian Navy. So here come the Air Force. And oh, they're a bit close for comfort. As I said, nothing happening on the resources tracks, but we've got a -2 DRM on the Italian army and a +1 on the Marina, which is good because they're knocking at the door. So yes, I think the first thing we'll do is try and push back the Navy. We need anything but a 1. Dear no, good grief. Let's do it again. Oh, no, don't count that. Well, there you go. 6s, back it goes. Oh dear. Wanted to have a go pushing back the Italian Air Force as well. Do we use a supply to do that? Or do we want to save them now? The Africa Corps is entering stage left. No, I think we'll keep it there. We move down to the housekeeping phase and we just remove these. Pop them back. That is the end of the first epoch. So we take these away and get the next deck out. So here's the next deck. Rommel will be arriving. This is the one with the little red square. So that is going to go on the top. That's the seeded card. We will shuffle these. Oops. And see what the next video brings. So yes, we're going to leave it there and we'll see what happens when the Africa Corps arrive. So this has been part 2 of my playthrough of Malta Besieged, designed by Steve Carey and published by Worthington Publishing. Well, I hope you enjoyed that and you found it interesting. I certainly did. Well, if you did enjoy it and you haven't done so already, it would be great if you would consider subscribing to the channel. Really does help. Pushing the like button of the video, the old thumbs up, helps tremendously. And if you want to be informed of other content the channel uploads, then push the bell. As always, I encourage you to leave a comment. I'm enjoying myself. I know States of Siege games aren't everybody's cup of tea, but let me know. I love to read them. As always, a big thank you to my subscribers. Thank you very much. And just before I go, if you wish to support the channel a little bit further, well, now you can. You can buy the channel a coffee, and I'll leave a link in the description for that. Or you can click on the video, the super thanks button, and those help to keep the channel ticking along. So, as I said, next time we will be meeting Rommel's Africa Corps, and things are turned up a notch. But until then, as always, you take care and goodbye.